Daniel Schloss, you're up. You had the first presentation, so you'll get the first question. Daniel, what are some factors to consider when deciding whether to file a petition and which kind?
Right. So apropos of what Steve was just getting into, the evidence has to drive the decision making to a large extent. And you may not know what that is without doing, as Steve said, the elbow and grease work. So the most important thing to consider, of course, is what you can prove in your one shot that you get as a petition. And then the other thing to consider, I think, in the first instance is what is the relevant time period to which that evidence pertains and that you're able to get. As I mentioned earlier, an expungement petition requires an allegation that the mark was never used at any time. So practically speaking, if the trademark owner can then come forward with proof that the mark was used at any time prior to the filing of the petition, then they've successfully defended. So if you can peg the allegation to a narrower period of time, perhaps around the renewal affidavit that alleged use when there was none, and you can show that, that might be a strategic point to consider.
And Steve, would you like to weigh in on that question? Factors to consider when deciding whether to file and which kind?
So in my situations, we were looking for red flags, or we found red flags. In the cases that I've done, the subject registration were 66A Madrid registrations. So you had a foreign applicant with a tremendous amount of goods and services. And it was clear that the mark was never used in connection with the goods recited in the registration, but also never used in commerce with the United States. So one red flag that would indicate that, you know, a situation may be good for a petition for expungement or reexamination is whether it's a Madrid registration that you're looking at. Another one is one of these ones that Daniel alluded to, the fraud ones, where, you know, you've got let's say, by way of example, a registration that covers all of class 25. You know, I mean everything. I mean, you know, that's clothing. So it's jodhpurs, it's lederhosen, it's kimonos, it's things like that. And you're like, well, this can't be right. And then you look and you find out that the thing's only, you know, the mark's only used in connection with t-shirts. Well, okay, then it's a good candidate for one of these things. So those are situations that usually come up during the context of the search, as Daniel said, but those are some key considerations. Thanks.